Chapter 79. The Shadow of Death. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. King Yu was struck by the sword breath. It left a shallow cut on his palm. The sword breath sliced open the green scales on his palm. The blood that flowed out was green and carried a deadly toxin. Ha ha. Your Highness certainly has unexpected depths. You managed to slice open my green devil hand. Very interesting. Truly quite interesting. King Yu circulated the genuine qi in his body and threads of qi seeped out of his pores. They melded into a green light and enveloped both of his arms. The green light flowed towards his hands. Shortly after, the cut inflicted by Zhang Yuochen healed at a rate visible to the naked eye. Very powerful self-healing. Zhang Yuochen remained aware of King Yu while he looked towards Ziqian and asked, "How are you holding up?" Ziqian's face was white and a trickle of blood stained the corner of her mouth. The most serious injury was on her right shoulder. King Yu's palm contained a deadly toxin. It had burned a handprint into her clothes. The skin showing below was turning a green-purple color. "I'm fine." Ziqian gritted her teeth, with coldness rife in her eyes. "Let's work together and kill our way out. I'll keep King Yu occupied while you go get rid of the other 7 warriors. I can, at most, hold King Yu off for 10 strikes, so you must kill the 7 people before that. After that, we will work together to defeat King Yu. Only this way will we have an opportunity to escape." Zhang Yuochen saw Ziqian's face grow even paler and said, "I'll take care of King Yu. You go to kill the other 7. "No, King Yu won't kill me. That's why I can hold him for 10 strikes. But King Yu will definitely kill you." "Forget 10 strikes. You will die at his hands within 5 strikes," Ziqian said. "Don't be so sure." Zhang Yuochen flashed a smile at Ziqian. One hand lifted the flash-shining sword while the other removed a long, black spear from the space and time spinel. This long, black spear was taken from the hands of a warrior of square commandery. It was a level 4 genuine martial armament. Moving into his paces, Zhang Yuochen charged towards King Yu at his highest speed. At the same time, Ziqian also started attacking. Crossing the creek in a single step, she struck one warrior of the initial stage of the Black Realm in the throat. That warrior's throat caved. He vomited blood and immediately collapsed into the creek. In a flash, Ziqian attacked another warrior. King Yu stood on a 2-meter-tall stone, staring at the charging Zhang Yuochen. He smiled delightedly and said, "Perfect. I'll kill you first. Then I'll ravage that beauty. Let's see if you have that ability." Zhang Yuochen replied. King Yu stared at Zhang Yuochen and said dismissively, "A sword in one hand and a spear in another. Do you think you can multitask? If you can't, using 2 weapons will actually be a disadvantage in a battle. You'll see once you try me." Zhang Yuochen challenged. While Zhang Yuochen and King Yu were talking, Ziqian had already killed 2 people in a row and was charging towards the 3rd. King Yu stopped wasting time talking to Zhang Yuochen. Jumping down from the giant rock, he prepared his genuine qi and slapped one hand against the rock. The rock, weighing over 10,000 pounds, flew towards Zhang Yuochen. He could not retreat. He must delay King Yu. Zhang Yuochen's gaze sharpened. He circulated the genuine qi within his body, triggering 4 of the inscriptions of power series on his flash-shining sword. The weight of the sword became 200 kilograms. Boom! Zhang Yuochen swung his sword and chopped straight down. The giant stone was split open, flying off to both sides. Ha ha! King Yu flew out from behind the stone, grinning. He aimed a strike at Zhang Yuochen's head. It must be noted, Zhang Yuochen had already activated the space domain. Naturally, he knew King Yu was behind the giant rock. When King Yu struck, Zhang Yuochen preemptively attacked with his spear, aiming it towards King Yu's chest. King Yu did not think Zhang Yuochen would react so quickly. He had no choice but to withdraw his attack and instead strike at the long spear. Boom! King Yu was very strong. With one strike he knocked the long spear aside. After that, King Yu turned, his body suddenly moving like a poisonous snake. He followed the spear, getting closer towards Zhang Yuochen. He stretched out 2 fingers to stab at Zhang Yuochen's throat. 2 green fire sparks spouted from the extended fingers. It must be noted that King Yu's speed was at 44 meters per second while Zhang Yuochen could only reach 34 meters per second. From King Yu's perspective, his fingers would definitely strike Zhang Yuochen's throat. But, Just at this moment, Zhang Yuochen's sword struck. Coming up from the bottom, it was directed at King Yu's throat. If King Yu wanted to strike Zhang Yuochen's throat, his own throat will certainly be pierced. The final result would be death on both sides. King Yu frowned slightly, again forced by Zhang Yuochen to retreat. How is this possible? Your speed and strength are both no match for mine. How can you continuously avoid my killing strikes? Perhaps you really can multitask and simultaneously control the sword and the spear? Zhang Yuochen held a sword in one hand and a spear in the other and said, I told you earlier. It won't be that easy if you want to kill me. Zhang Yuochen's speed indeed could not be compared to King Yu's, but he had the help of the space domain. Once King Yu came within 10 meters of him, Zhang Yuochen could clearly see King Yu's next moves. He was completely able to move one step ahead and block King Yu's killing strikes. At this moment, Ziqian had already killed 3 people. Then let's see how many strikes you can block. King Yu was angry. Both of his arms turned a dark green color. He executed a superior class human stage martial technique. He became 3 green shadows and charged towards Zhang Yuochen simultaneously. A normal warrior would not be able to tell which of the shadows was King Yu's true person. Once the 3 shadows had come within 10 meters of Zhang Yuochen, he could see clearly that all 3 shadows were the true person. Only, King Yu was moving too fast and using a mysterious step, causing it to appear that he had become 3 people. Boom! Zhang Yuochen's sword struck out and blocked the first shadow. Another blow blocked the second shadow. When the third shadow approached, Zhang Yuochen blocked it with both spear and sword. It was another mutual death strike, forcing King Yu to retreat again. Boom! From a distance, it appeared that Zhang Yuochen was standing in the same place, continuously striking out with sword and spear and battling 3 King Yu at once. They had exchanged more than 20 strikes, yet King Yu was unable to defeat Zhang Yuochen. Prince Huoxing was standing on the back of the green-shelled eagle. He looked down at the battle disappointedly and said, "Looks like I will have to do it myself." Prince Huoxing raised the silver bone crescent bow and drew out a golden carriage-breaking arrow. He drew on all the genuine qi in his body, pulling the 300-pound bow into a full moon instantly and making it creak. On the battlefield, the carriage-breaking arrow could destroy a 30-man chariot. Prince Huoxing stared at the Zhang Yuochen who was battling King Yu. His mouth revealed a small smile, and he pointed the arrowhead at Zhang Yuochen's back. "Ninth Prince, farewell." His finger relaxed, and the carriage-breaking arrow flew out. Phew! The arrowhead caught alight, like a flaming meteorite. It rushed towards the ground,